The non-crime hate incident is something that emerged out of a well-intentioned response to the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, and the goal was to record incidents of hostility based on race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, even if they didn't meet the threshold of a criminal offence. And the principle was laudable. It is laudable to preempt escalation, to provide evidence of a hostile environment. But decades later, this practice is being criticised for inconsistent implementation, intimidation, and questionable outcomes. And of course, it comes to a head because of the pressure that was put on Alison Pearson. And a recent report by the Policy Exchange think tank, supported by the former Metropolitan Police Commissioner Lord Hogan Howe, highlights the scale of the problem. Police spend an estimated 60,000 hours annually on approximately 13,000 non-crime hate incidents, equivalent to 27 years of full-time work. Essex Police alone have recorded non-crime hate incidents at a rate of over twice the national average, while solving just 3% of serious crimes, 6% of burglaries. These statistics reveal a glaring misallocation of resources, surely. The absurdity of the non-crime hate incident is exemplified by cases such as, apparently there was one where a handshake refusal was recorded as hate-related because of gender identity. I can remember teaching in schools where it was traditional for women not to shake hands with men. And there are many reasons why people may avoid shaking hands. A barber's rough haircut, in another instance, was logged after a discussion about the Ukraine war. These incidences exemplify a record everything approach, often amounting to no more than hurt feelings. Recording everything, I think, is perfectly reasonable, but then a sort of presenting the evidence to these people when there is nothing more than just hearsay is absurd. By all means, record the evidence. I think it's a good thing. But challenging the people on the basis of that, when there's no crime that's been committed, is not good. Keeping the information, good. Making a fuss, not so good, really. Lord Hogan Howe has called for a ministerial review, emphasising that many of these actions contradict common sense. David Spencer, the author of the Policy Exchange report, argues that the practice is not only wasting resources, but chilling free speech, undermining public trust in policing. He highlights cases like the Alison Pearson case being investigated for a year-old tweet, which was later dropped as evidence of overreach. I mean, keep things on file if necessary. But it's just information. No crime has been committed, so therefore nobody should have been going round to Alison Pearson's house and effectively intimidating her. For what? For what? Recording NCHIs has far-reaching consequences. Names logged in NCHIs can appear in enhanced DBS checks, affecting job prospects. They can be seen as the police prioritising trivial incidents over serious crimes. That erodes public trust, whether it's true or not. And the subjective and inconsistent nature of an NCHI risks suppressing legitimate debate and freedom of expression. And that's a big problem. The Policy Exchange report recommends abolishing the recording of NCHIs altogether. I'm not so sure I would go so far. But certainly a sentiment like that, echoed by MPs who urge the Home Office to focus on serious crimes like violent assaults, murder. Critics argue that the current regime prioritises feelings over facts is a dangerous precedent for a liberal democracy, I don't think it's necessarily true. I think feelings are important. And I think words are vitally important. But I think unless a crime has been committed, we shouldn't be overreacting. And if something contextualizes, if something from the past contextualizes an event in the future, that is important. If there's a way that a quiet word can be had, that is important. But this formalizing of something that is not a crime is, I think, an overstepping of the mark. That is the point. And so while the intention behind NCHIs is noble, their implementation has veered into the absurd and the inappropriate. In a time of strained resources and rising public discontent, Parliament must reconsider whether police should continue this practice. As Lord Hogan puts it, common sense must prevail. Policing must return to its core mission, which is protecting the public and tackling real crime, not recording grievances about bad haircuts or social awkwardness or inappropriate expressions on social media, which have then passed. The balance between safeguarding against hate and preserving fundamental freedoms, the pendulum has swung too far. It really is time to recalibrate, to redress what's going on, to ask whether or not, in spending so much time on things which are not criminal, are we losing the sight of things which are, where we can actually save people? Because the assumption, for example, with burglaries, you get burgled, the assumption now is that the insurance will pay. It's like a burglar's charter. And, I'm not so sure this idea of police swooping down who you've never seen before. What's happened to neighbourhood policing? Surely the hours spent on these NCHIs, the 60,000 hours spent annually on NCHIs, could be better spent reviving neighbourhood policing so that we're not afraid of the police, so that we know who they are, so that when we need help, we know where to find it. I think we need to personalise the police. We need to inject humanity back into the force. We need to get people to do their job rather than run around the place box ticking and pursuing acronyms which don't matter. So yes, although I understand how an NCHI can get bigger, how bad behaviour can become a norm and can grow into something worrying. But a year-old tweet or a year-old retweet, a handshake, a rough haircut, this doesn't seem appropriate.